Hi, this is Mr. Capert. This video I'm going to show you how to make the dual lever sketch from Solid Professor. First thing you want to do is go back to your home screen here, new, and then make sure you use standard millimeters IPT. The sketch says it's in millimeters. Once you're within here, start a new 2D sketch. It says to choose the XY plane. And then there's no right or wrong way necessarily to do the order of this sketch. I like to start with all the circles. There's 4 circles in this sketch. So the first one has a diameter of 45 at the very center of this part. The next one, and this is where the drawing gets tricky, they say 50, but there's no way it's 50. That's the radius. So if something has a radius of 50, then the diameter is 100 millimeters. I noticed that when I was making this. Next step is the placement of the other circles that are out on the arm. I would use the line tool and then switch on construction. When you do that, this line is just a reference line. It wouldn't be included in an extrusion or a revolve or anything of that nature. So it says this circle or hole is 200 millimeters away. And then I'll hit the escape key because I don't want to continue with that. I'll do another line. Notice the construction tool is still selected, so it's still going to be a construction line. And this one jets out by 125, so not quite as far. Hit escape. Next step, I want to dimension the angle between the 2 arms on this lever. I say arms, they call it levers, I guess. 120 degrees between the levers. Now I'll finally put my circles at the end. Make sure you deselect the construction tool. We want this to actually be something that would be extruded. And then this one is 15 in diameter, yeah. And this one up here is 15. All right, next step, I'll draw out the outline of the lever. This is kind of tricky. I gotta be many ways of doing this. I'll show you the way I did it. I did a line here above, and I made sure it lined up with the center of that circle, and make sure it's parallel. Hit the escape tool, and then did another line, and made sure it lines up once again. Next step, I did dimension, and I'm going to dimension this, not 35, because the total width's 35. This would actually be 35 divided by 2, 17.5. I like to, anytime I do math, I like to have Inventor do it. That way I can always look back later and see, oops, I just did what, I can see what I did. 35 divided by 2. It's a good way of like double checking your math, and then later on, like I said, if you ever go, how did I come up with that number? You can click on it and see, oh, okay, I divided the total width divided by 2. Next step I would do is the 3-point arc and select these 2 endpoints. And then they didn't give you the dimensions for this at all. I thought that 17.5 looks pretty good. It's kind of unfortunate that it didn't tell us that. For some reason, I had this problem before where the dimension doesn't show up. All right, there. That should be dimensioned. So about 17.5 I thought looked pretty good. Next, we got to do this other arm that comes out. Same thing. I'm going to use a line. I'm going to make sure that it lines up with the center of the circle, and make sure it's parallel to that line there, which it looks like it did. You can always check that by using the parallel constraint. Yeah, it was, I believe. Right. And I'll start another line somewhere along here. That's not where I wanted to start it. Kept snapping to there. There we go. Once again, I'll check that it's parallel. I think it is, but I'm not seeing that come up. There we go. And then, just like the other arm, I'm going to dimension this 35 divided by 2 to get the proper thickness. All right, then just like before, I'll do my 3-point arc and choose these 2 endpoints. And 17.5, they don't tell you, so. Oh, that did not work out right. You'll notice it didn't. 1 sec. It's kind of weird that I'm getting a number that doesn't make sense. It keeps doing this to me. And you notice it didn't actually do what I told it to do. There it did. Okay, we're looking good. Last thing I believe would just be to trim away this extra material. We don't need that right there and there. So you can use the trim tool to just get rid of that. I will point out, I'm not happy about this. I have 5 dimensions that are still needed. You should always fully dimension these. To be honest with you, I could not find one of them when I did this before. So we did have the dimension for this circle, but since I trimmed it, that has now been deleted. So if we put that on, you'll see I dropped down to 4. This doesn't have a dimension actually because it's no longer connected to that. So now I'm down to 3. The next thing I think I did from the origin down to here. Nope, that wasn't needed. So delete that. I think it might be from here to here. Let's check. Down to 2. And yep, this is where I struggled. So it let me know if you can figure out, I think it didn't put this dimension on here. It might be one of them. Yeah, the 3-point arc is kind of one dimension. And I could not figure out what that dimension was. So let me know if you figure out which dimension I'm missing. Once you've completed this, make sure you save it. You're going to have to get out of sketch mode to save it. And make sure you have a folder set up. You need to have a folder set up for this class and then give it a name that makes sense so you can find this later, which is dual lever sketch. Make sure you always put your name. And like I said, if you don't know how to create a folder, click on that button and you can do CAD. And then you can do another one and do solid professor and put it within there. Oh, let me know if you have any additional questions. And like I said, if you can figure out which dimension I'm missing, maybe I'll make that extra